especially with Beverley Glazer, who's here every Tuesday and has always brought so many valuable insights and provided so many takeaways, especially as it relates to women's empowerment, because that's what Beverly's focused on. Oh, and we've got our third panelist.
Yay!
Yay! I made it in.
Yeah, we were keeping our fingers crossed, but now we've got somebody to help carry the load today. So we're just introducing Beverly because Beverly's here every Tuesday, focused in her professional arena in women's empowerment, primarily for those over 50. And also, Beverly has her own podcast, has her own live stream, and has a lot of everything. So, good person to get to know. And with that said, I'll introduce Elle to the program. And I had a wonderful opportunity to chat with Elle and just found her to be extremely interesting in the ways that she impacts the people around her. I was just mentioning it's Women's Empowerment event, which is every Tuesday. And Elle, why don't you share a little bit about yourself for context and what your initial thoughts on women's empowerment is and possibly live streaming. So quite a menu.
Yes, that is. Well, first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to join the conversation. I'm honored and excited about it. Beverly and I have spoken, and she's amazing and such a great resource. And Dawn, you're so insightful. So it's just a pleasure to be a part of this and be a part of live stream. My name is Elle Banks, and I am a lifestyle coach specializing in women and change. So paying attention to tension points, focusing on what's really going on and unpacking that, spending a lot of time. Typically, I focus on 2 to 3 issues at a time, which is a lot of fun and very, very rewarding because I get to apply all of my change management background and my life coaching skills and my emotional intelligence. And every conversation is different, and it's very exciting to me, and excited to help women empower in finding their voice, because oftentimes women sideline themselves and put themselves in the background waiting for their time to rise up to the surface. And with empowerment, it's letting everyone know that, hey, you came to the table, you have the right to be here. We want to hear what you have to say. So,
well, that's terrific. And it kind of plugs right in with live streaming because, to your point, everybody has a voice, but not everybody has access. And not everybody has the access they prefer. So even when you get in, there's accommodations and there's less of you and more of it. And when you can get your own microphone and then project and target your own group that relates to you, the key here and I guess everywhere is relevancy, right? Are you relevant, and who are you talking with? Are they relevant to you? And it's really niching and targeting in the best way to be as relevant and also to be as transparent and authentic. Why not get out front what you're looking for, what you provide, and then create a show that gives you a whole hour with some wonderful people to express yourself without being an infomercial or without rushing, and really just having a conversation. Because it was interesting, I reached out to somebody and they wanted to be on the show, but they said, you have to understand, I'm not very good on social media. And I said, well, we're talking conversation. That's all. There is no real social media. So if you can be yourself and talk with people, with that, chat's wide open. Who else but Christine Feedy is here?
Oh, great.
I think Christine's everywhere. I saw her on Leslie's show, Mind Over Matter Monday. Christine's probably been with us about a year at least, was one of the first ones to come here. She balances so many things. She's got a wonderful family. She's got a career. She's got her MBA. And she's supporting so many people. So welcome, Christine Feedy, and was on the show at one time. So any thoughts you have on change, Christine? Always happy to hear. With that, I'll swing it back to Beverley. And we came up with change as the focus of women's empowerment. So what's your thoughts towards change?
Whoa. Okay. I'm going to piggyback on what Elle said and what Christine brought back into the picture, because change management. Wow. Okay. What I do is I work with women. I work with older women in particular, but let's face it, we all go through changes. And the reason I chose women in particular is we go through so many changes. And that is from when we go to school, when we get married, when we, have a family, when we choose perhaps just to be a mom, and then we take that break from work, and then illness can happen and something can go on in our lives, because always something will go on in our lives. And what happens is women take the brunt of that all the time. We can say that men do too, but I'll be honest, okay, differently, okay? If someone has a problem, it's a woman that steps up to the plate, whether it's a mom, whether it's a girlfriend, whether it's whatever it is, there's always a savior. And who is she? I say no more. Okay. So what we're talking about is change. Change is empowering. But we have this very messy place in any of those changes. So what I do is Premier Custom Coaching, but I help everybody to manage that messy place, to get through that breakthrough that you have to get to. But how do you get there? How do you get there when your family wants you, and your mother may want you, and your partner may, and you need time and space for yourself? So how do we manage that change? Change management. Excellent word, Elle. Okay. Excellent, because it speaks to all of us. Everything comes in. We want to fix it all. And to your point, Dawn, when you're talking about social media is out there. It's a bad contrast in a lot of ways, because you could think that everyone's lives are going so smoothly except your own. And you can start to feel less than, and that would be in your life, in your business, depending on where you are in your head. So, of course, this is what I do. Change your thinking. When we change our thinking, we change our environment, we change our life. And social media has changed a lot of our lives, for the good, for the not so good. But in everything we do, change isn't 100% good. We have to have balance in it. And when you're talking about live streaming, which, as we all know, is Dawn's very happy place. And Dawn has had hundreds of episodes live streaming and has put it to the test. What you're doing is getting out there. That is what social media is. It's getting out there. And you can't dance at all the weddings. No, because there's so many different places to get out there. And what live streaming is it tells you what it is. And you're out there. Okay. Whether you like it or not, with all the bells and whistles, bad or good, you see it the way it is. It's live. Okay. The good thing is you don't have to look at it. Okay. And if you didn't look at it, it didn't happen. But so you can always test it again. And we learn from our mistakes. That's that messy place. And so, to your point, we have to know where we want to go, what direction we want to go into, and we have to change and embrace whatever that change is, because otherwise we stay stuck. We keep repeating the same thing. We keep repeating the same behavior, and you stay in that messy place. So what social media will do and what will help every single person is you can reach out there. You can see who does what anywhere, and no one is special. That's a concept everybody has to have. We're all people. And you can reach out to each and every one of us. I know the people that Dawn chooses to be here are very accessible. We're here to help. And that is what we do, and reach out to all of us. And live streaming is a way of just reaching out and saying hi. And so I'm going to say hi to Harvey, who just popped in. Hi, Harvey. I'm so glad.
Yeah, Harvey's a favorite. Harvey has been with us, 7, 8 months, I forget. But started the franchise show 3 months ago, which has been #1 every week since he started. Also, we're working together to collaborate on allowing more people to get their own live stream. And to what Beverley said that is so important is it's not, so many people when they go in think more is better, but better is better. And less is more if the less is refined or distilled to exactly who you want to talk with. Because everything in the world between relationships starts with a conversation. The key is, how do you have that conversation, and how do people view you when you begin the conversation? So if you're out there throwing spaghetti against a wall and getting anybody who can fog a mirror, that's not a very duplicatable, satisfying activity. But when you can align with what's already there, follow who's already doing what you're doing, and it's best practices, and why guess, why not get an accelerated learning curve, but more importantly, a supportive group that's doing exactly the same thing you are every week. And also we come together every 2 weeks on a Zoom meeting to share whatever we're doing, what we could be doing together. And you just learn that much faster. Plus, to Beverly's point, it's so easy in social media to get down. It just takes a few disappointments, a few bad messages, which I honestly never get, but that also maybe validates who we're working with and who we are together. And it's that element of getting some wins. And the answer to that is activity. If you're not happy, you're not active enough, because eventually something will show up that wouldn't have showed up if you didn't go beyond where you were at. And too many people overthink it and underdo it. And they try to figure it out until they do it, and they never do it. But anyways, I'll get it right back to Elle. Harvey has the franchise show that follows it. I was just talking to Carl actually for a couple hours yesterday, and he was saying that he has a show that's an hour before that. But because the guest couldn't make it at 8, he moved the show to 9. So, Carl's here. Other thing is after Harvey, we've got Kelly and Christy, who have the Awesome Journey at 11:15, Mountain Time 1:15. So, it's and everybody who's doing a live stream is in the group. And that's a nice thing because you get support from everybody. You can count on so many people who really have great networks, great influence, great shows, and you win by just being associated, being part of that lineup. Here's LinkedIn user. I always think it's Carrie. Good to see you. Dennis is our HVAC guy here in Colorado, 49 years in business, and is our rhymer. Agreed. The old saying was less is more, but more best practices is more, for sure. So, Elle, you're just getting acclimated to the audience, to the format. So what's your thoughts now on change and what we're doing here?
I have several thoughts, so I'll try to keep it brief. I wanted to answer Christine's question. That was a great question. My background is actually doing change management in the corporate environment. So implementing computer systems, Infor systems, so new ERP systems. So there's a lot of, whenever you're implementing a new system such as that, there's a lot of resistance to change. That's what I did day in and day out, talking with people to find out what are those pain points. And oftentimes when people would say what their pain point was, what their level of resistance was, there was something more behind it. You know, they might say, well, this is too complicated, it's going to take too long. But really what underneath it, after you talk to them, is they're afraid the technology is going to replace their job. And so addressing that with senior management to say, hey, this is what's going on the floor. This is what's going on the front line. What can we do about that? What kind of message can be sent out? And then I would work on crafting a message that would be from the CEO or the CFO or wherever the change was coming from, and working back to the stakeholders and finding out, okay, how are they feeling about this? Because that's the one thing that people often make a mistake regarding change is they make one quick knee-jerk reaction oftentimes. They don't do the follow through. They don't check back to say, is this really working? And it takes a lot of courage to say, is this solution working or is it not? And if it's not, then what needs to be adjusted, what needs to be refined? And I think that those are practical applications in everyday life. I mean, oftentimes people are, you hear them saying that they're making the same mistake over and over again, or to Beverly's point, they're watching everybody's highlight reel on social media and feeling less than every single time. What I like about this platform is that we are real people. You can see us. Well, you can't really touch us. You can smell us. I did take a shower, but no, you can't. But it's really important to get that perspective, to ask those questions, to know that you've got real people out there. That it's one thing to hear that, oh wow, we're seeing the highlight reel of everyone, but it's hard whenever you start getting into the pit and feeling like you're less than, and you don't have the courage to come out. You just keep on going back to looking at Instagram or Facebook. So I love this platform where you can ask questions, where it is interactive, where you're not being just talked at. You can ask us a question or make a comment. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate this different way to talk with people. And I hope that answered the questions.
I think you made some excellent points. And one key element for change and programs like this is a safe environment, right? When you're in a safe environment, you're more open to change, and you know that people around you are supporting the change you're open to. And if it's a conversation that happens spontaneously based on what the person before you just said or what the audience reminded you to say, it is much more authentic than here's what I'm going to say in 2 days, and here's why I should say it and why everybody should be listening to it. And people, it's not an audience, it becomes a community. And then from a community, it actually becomes a family. And once you have your family, you're totally, if it's a quality family that you chose, and that's an opportunity people have as a second chance to say, well, luck of the draw, I ended up with this group, but by choice, I decided to create or integrate into this group, or more importantly, build a bigger circle, because when two circles come together, both get bigger, right? And I think that's key. And when people you really feel want to hear what you have to say, or what you have to say made a difference, then you're into something bigger in yourself, because it's not what do you want to say, it's really always going to be what's about them, right? And if everybody's thinking about them and no one's really focused on themselves, more gets done. So with that, and it turns out that it wasn't Carrie, it was Jason, who doesn't have a picture. So here to support and learn, and actually want to do a shout out to Jason. He's going to be on the show tomorrow with Dave. They're a great pairing. It's going to be a military transition event, because both are long-term veterans who are helping transition to veterans getting into civilian life and dealing with mental health issues. So happy you're here, Jason. And with that, Beverly, off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, we're really moving it, Dawn. Okay. So yes, I'm going back to what Elle said. resistance. When we have change, there's always resistance to change. And that would be whether it's in the corporate place and you're just concerned with the new person coming in to fill that chair, or you're concerned with technology that's coming in that may replace you, or you're just plain worried about your spot. Same thing in everything. When we have a change, whether it's good or whether it's bad, it takes an adjustment to that change. And it takes kind of a tweaking to be able to find your place in that change. And I'm thinking of a situation with a client where her partner was going to be leaving. That means the partner is retired. They were planned for this. They brought in experts for this plan. And now it's coming to a point, and she is going to be taking over the reins. And all that is planned as well. However, the partner now has resistance to that retirement. It's that feeling that I'm going to change to what's next. And she can say to herself, oh, I can't wait. I've been waiting for retirement my whole life. And now I can go. I can go. I have my house in the country. Everything is set up. We're going to go on cruises and yada, yada, yada. But the real thing is, sure, I can do all that, but my identity is going to be lost. I've been getting up into this company. This is what I've been doing. This is who I am. So there is this resistance. And that is, of course, it's the kind of work I do. But basically, in all of us, it's about adapting to that change, going along with the disability you may have, going along with the fact that, maybe the marriage that I have had all these years is not that good, and I have to take a look at that. How long do I want to put up with that? Huge decisions that we have to have, and there are always the resistance to make that change, to move on. And we could be stuck for so many years, starting a business, doing whatever, social media, spending money, trying to find some guru, trying to get out of your unstuckness. And so this is where, because of live streaming, because of everything that's out there, we have so many opportunities, not only for us privileged people in North America, but it's open to everybody throughout the world. And isn't that awesome that we can reach so many people everywhere? You know, I know people are coming here from Africa, from Sudan. I know in my Facebook group, they're there from Kuwait, from goodness knows where, all over the world. This is so awesome. The world is changing. Women are changing. And every day we have an opportunity to change. But take the baby step. If you feel it, take the baby step and do it. Baby steps at a time. But you'll get there to the top of that mountain if you just tiptoe lightly. Get up there. Dawn,
Well,
back to you.
well, thank you, but and you know, I could listen to you forever, Beverly, because it's just one good point after another. Is, you know, so many people were depending on a gatekeeper, letting them through, qualifying them, and so many people never could get in the right line, and so many people gave up trying after a while. But when you can be the chooser instead of the choosee, when you handle the microphone, when you own the stage, and with 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and then this simulcast on YouTube, which is even more people, and what we're doing here is creating content for the future, because the audience in front of us is not the audience after us. And it will continue to ripple and be seen everywhere. And eventually we'll get really good at repurposing and start having playlists and shorts and everything else where, you know, you can continue to get more value for something you did. And at the end of the day, everything has to be done in some efficient manner to gain a competitive advantage based on merit and performance, right? So if you're putting out a better show and you're putting out a more consistent show, right? When you turn on a drama, you're going to see a drama every week, or You're going to stop watching if it turns into a comedy one week and something else. The other thing is you can't hide from the camera. You can't hide from the audience. So eventually people see you as you are, with how you respond to something, just your facial expressions, and they say, if you're going to have a show, if you're not high energy, don't have a show, because your energy level will project and stimulate everybody else's higher energy level and level of consciousness, because there's so much opportunity within ourselves to be everything we could have been, but needed a tailwind. And now with live streaming, it's unbelievable, because again, with that big of a population, can't you find 7 people like yourself? There's somebody for everybody, no matter who they are, because there's enough people out there, and people take potluck, right? Whatever comes their way, they start working with it. And if you really have standards, if you really have requirements, that makes a difference. And, the question, getting back to what Beverley said about people going through these changes, one has to ask themselves the why. Some people get too caught up in the what and what do you get for it? Because there is a study that 70% of business people who sell their business on Friday either have seller's remorse or depression on Monday. Why? Because they wake up and half their family's gone, right? People they used to have lunch with, people they used to 20, 30 years together, and now they're home. And if they were never a golfer or somebody to hang out at a beach, that's their life. But here's what I have found. LinkedIn gives second chances. There's only 2% of the people over 55 on LinkedIn. That's a huge opportunity for those people who have experience to be mentors, to be thought leaders, to share content that they've developed. But no one knows about it because they think it's a job board. And then look at the young people, 82% are between 18 and 34 here. How many could use some old school practices and strategies and mentors? That's where the opportunity is combining and pairing. And now I'm seeing with the show, it's strategic matching. So if I have a great author like Cohen, who's the next great author I could match that person up with? And now they've got mutual benefit, and it always works beyond the show. So anyways, not getting too deep into too deep, swing it back. Well, we've got a couple comments. Dennis says, if I can hit it, okay. Agree, bigger changes help us open up our mindness and kindness. Thanks again for sharing and carrying your wisdom. So thankful to have you, Dennis. Sometimes you make the show what it is. Elle, so coming back to you, talking about change, talking about reasons to change, reasons to be thoughtful of change. Don't you think that LinkedIn and the ability to express yourself can generate thoughts and ideas that were, let's say, hidden and now come to the surface, or even questions that you might get an answer for?
Definitely. And back to your point regarding everyone thinking that LinkedIn is just a job board. Sometimes getting on my LinkedIn and feed seems like it's nothing but people trying to sell me something. So I think showing the other side of there is real value here. There are people, there are, SMEs everywhere that just to pay attention to them and to change your feed and to change who you're following, to find different messages that maybe are feeding you in a different way, that aren't just trying to sell you something. I think it's very important. And I think it's good to reach people where they are. People are on LinkedIn. They are probably looking, as we think, for a job, or maybe they're looking for career advice, or maybe they're having a problem managing their teams and it's just not working out, where their corporate self is not the same as their personal self, and how to get that in line. And there's a lot of that I feel that we've just scratched the surface, because that's something that is almost a very taboo subject, because, thinking that you've got your name and a big title and a fancy degree, well, you must know it all. And people, they don't know it all. And the world is constantly changing, and their direct reports are constantly changing, and communication is changing, and it's so fast and readily accessible. And I think that you need to find a different way to engage with those different channels. You know, the same old is just not going to work. You're not going to reach younger generations. You're not even going to reach older generations. You're not going to tap in to the best of people. And I think that this is a really good platform for that. So that way people can see, to your point, you know, transparency, integrity, a different point of view, people that have been there, that have done that have made those mistakes. I mean, why not rely on that? Why not rely on, okay, I've tried this and this didn't work, or I tried this and I wish I would have maybe fine-tuned it a little bit, or this would be my advice to myself 10 years ago. I think that this is a really nice platform for that.
Well, that's terrific. And, you know, I believe that people need to have conversations just from the humanity side of things. You know, over the last few years, there's been so much isolation, insulation, separation, and fear. Because, you know, the reason why this platform and live streaming works so well is spammers and scammers can't sit up here for an hour and keep up the scam, you know? And it's almost like when the light comes on to Dracula or whatever, you know, they just run away from here. And the people who kind of shy, intimidated, slowly come towards the stage. You know, everybody starts at the exit door at the end of the thing in case they got to run out. But then when they think, hey, this is pretty cool. And what's so cool about the same people are here every day. You're not out there trying to get people who can just be in the audience, because that's an easy vanity pitfall. Is you're like, how many people showed up? How many minutes did they see? But who were these people? And will I ever have an interest in ever working in some way with them? And the qualifier for me to connect with somebody is, would I have a conversation right now that we connected? If the answer is no, why bother, and why set expectation for somebody else, or why open yourself up, which usually happens 20 seconds after you accept an invitation. They're going to give you 300 leads this week and don't know anything about you or what you're looking for. Well, we got a couple great comments. I'll go right to Christine, who has a long one. We need more Maslow management theory. Work is different now. For better or worse, work is the place many of their needs are met. There's less community, church groups, bowling leagues, what have you. Happy workers are productive. And you're so right, Christine, because growing up, when I grew up, bowling alleys were everywhere. Movie shows were everywhere. You had to get out to do something. Nothing came in, you know, except the mail. And now today, everything comes to you. You never have to move. And by doing that, you think you're saving time and it's more efficient, but you're losing humanity again. When you went to the movie show, you saw people, or you went with friends. When you went to the bowling alley, it was a league, you know, or you could just hang out because it was air conditioned back then. So, you know, I think it's times have changed, which creates even more benefit to changing. You have got to get ahead of the change. You know, you pressed the pause button that no one else knows what you just did except you're out of the game. The game's going to continue with or without you. And time is not anybody's friend. Nobody's guaranteed tomorrow. So why are you doing what you're doing with the precious time you have? And the more successful you can become, the more successful you can help others become. And everybody around you feels better for you, and they don't have to worry as much. So if you're happy, if you're successful, if you're occupied, it starts to ripple around you. And that's where, you know, quality of life comes in, because most people, they're successful at something, but other things they're really lacking or insecure about. So why not get the whole enchilada, or whatever you want to call it, and be not only complete, but feel like you got more than you ever had and more to give than you ever have, because you're happier than you've ever been. And I think that's the ultimate goal, is happiness. You know, when you go to sleep, are you really happy about your day? When you wake up, can't you wait to just jump out and get into what you're doing? Because if, you know, I did 700 of these, about 580, I forgot, or 600 in a row, 7 days a week. You can't do that if it's work. But if someone says, hey, these wonderful people are knocking on the door, bringing coffee and bagels, right? I'm happy to sit down in my living room for an hour and have some great conversations. And you look forward to that. Plus, everybody gets better together because eventually enough Tuesdays, I got lots of Beverley in me, and lots of Kelly because it rubs off. It's like, hey, that's a good idea or a good way of looking at things. And pretty soon you become a blend of everybody you've attached to or integrated with. And I always say the audience is like a buffing wheel. The more you lean into it, the more it kind of shapes you and tests what you're doing before you got to go to the bigger audience. Harvey says, we need to have a game of bowling at some point. I was in a league and really friendship were created in type of community. I grew up a block and a half from a bowling alley. And right from school, me and a couple of my friends would just go there for the air conditioning, bring, I think, a dime, if you can believe it. A nickel would get you a soft drink. Another nickel would get you a bag of potato chips. So for 10 cents, you'd be in heaven for 2 hours. And it was better than sitting in a hot house. So, I think that's the thing is things that worked before still work today. But people have too many choices. And the choices that win are the lazy choices. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you can get so caught up in everybody's life, you don't have a life, And so not to go too far into that. So Elle, with all these new insights into change, the question becomes, why don't more people change faster? What is the answer to that,
Elle? That's a really great question. I think because at the core, it's not painful enough. Where they are isn't painful enough to force them to change. I mean, in change management, there's a theory of ADKAR. So the first thing is just being aware of it, and then the second letter is desire, the desire to change. Some people are aware of it, like to Beverly's point, being tired of your marriage or losing your identity because you've retired. But just because you're aware of it, do you have a desire to do anything different about it? And I think that that's really it's a big sticking point. A lot of people will have the lip service of, oh, I want to lose weight, but then there's the easy way out. Well, I'm going to take a shot or whatever for that. And then you find out if you stop taking the injection, then you put your weight back on again. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just, there is no quick and easy shortcut to it. And it's not comfortable. I mean, you have to get out of your comfort zone. And quite frankly, who really wants to do that? I mean, until it's painful enough, until the desire is strong enough, nothing is going to change. And that's really where I meet people, is where they are at the point where they're just like, I just can't do it anymore. And listening to Beverley, it sounds like she has very similar experience where people are ready. Once they've made that decision, you can't make it for them. They have to make the decision that this is not working anymore. And I want to move forward and do something different. And it's something that's super exciting to witness. But it's difficult to get people engaged and want to stay with it. To your point, it's, you hear about forming a habit is 21 days. Well, for some people it is, but for a lot of people it's not. And so people think that, oh, it's the magic elixir. If I journal for 21 days, then my life is going to be peaceful and calm. And it's just, that's not the case. It's consistency. It's repetition. It's showing up on those days that you don't really feel like you're making any progress at all. Like what you were saying, Dawn, it's just, but you have to show up. You have to keep trying, whether if it's just like what Beverley was saying, one little inch up the mountain at a time. At least it was that inch forward, and sometimes it is one step forward and 2 steps back, but then sometimes it's 3 steps forward. So you have to show up and you have to really want it. And I think that that's the one thing that I see. I've had a lot of people that come to me that think that, oh, if I hire a coach, then everything's going to be better. But I don't put the work in for you. You have to want it. I'm here to coach you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to reevaluate problem solving, but I'm not here to do your work for you, because if I do the work for somebody, it's not lasting change. As soon as I'm gone, so is the change.
Yeah, you make really quality points there. And, there is an element to being proactive versus reactive. A lot of people make change after change has been made to them, right? When someone left them, now they want to get off and do something on their own when they should have been getting off on their own earlier. And the other element is incremental change is more important. You know, if you want to lose 10 pounds, give yourself 10 months and just say, I'm going to lose a pound a month. And, you know, I've done that and it always works. I mean, don't set too low of a goal, but don't knock yourself out at the beginning. And the other big thing I found is having a workout buddy or a team, right? If you're trying to lose weight and your spouse is eating pizzas all the time and showing you how good they are, what's the chances of you sticking with your broccoli, you know? But when someone goes out of their way to buy you the food you want to eat and prepare it or suggest it or get behind you, then some people just need that extra day. You know, if they took one more day, they wouldn't be shutting the lights off in their warehouse or their store or their office for the last time. They wouldn't be walking away from something they really need and really want, but it's just too much. And that's why people give up. It's not capability or ability, it's the motivation. And someone doesn't have any support. And eventually you just say, I can't fight 3 battles at the same time, but I can survive in 3 battles. But there's a differentiation and distinction between surviving and being happy and prospering, you know? And it takes, you know, it's easy to tell people, but it's not easy to be the person that's being told. So it's really, how do they learn on their own and believe they've achieved this level of awareness? And that's why programs like this, I know jokingly, I say, if I was out of work and needed work, it costs nothing to broadcast. I get on at 9, share a little bit about myself, take a break at 12, come back at 1, keep broadcasting, right? You'll be learning just by listening to what you're saying, but someone will say, hey, what is this person doing all day? Must be something to it. You know, even being curious has value. So Harvey comes back with, you're right, Elle, change really comes from a place of comfort. Well, it's much easier to change when you're comfortable. You know, that's why they say never go shopping at a grocery store when you're hungry, because everything looks like lunch at that point. Dennis comes back, agree to be aware, not a fear, and it helps clear. And then also comes back with agree, be proactive, not conactive. Well, I don't know where you keep coming up with these things, Dennis, but you do. And with that said, Beverley, what's your new level of awareness of what we're talking about?
It's so not new. It's like it goes right back to the old theory, no pain, no gain. Okay. You have to be struggling enough to make that change. You have to be fed up enough to make that change. Mind you, unless the world has made you change for one reason or another. But it has to be pain, unfortunately. Otherwise, we can stay in that comfort, you know, like Harvey said. We are comfortable. We are even comfortable in the discomfort because we don't know what we don't know. But we know what we know, okay? You don't like it, right? But I'm dealing with it. But what's scary out there, right? So as a coach and a mentor, I give people not just the tools, because you can take a course and do the tools. And like Elle was saying, you know, you have to have the motivation. Well, I'm not going to be staying there either to motivate you. If you have had the pain, I can give you the breakthrough to see that the connection between your thinking and what you believe is possible. That makes the change. And when you've got it, man, nothing will take it away from you. You got it. You feel that confidence. It's there in you. And every single person, I'm telling you, Dawn, every single person, haven't met everybody in the world, but I met a whole bunch in high and very low places. And they have got that something. You just don't believe it. And that something, whatever it is, has to be released. And once it's there and you say, you know what, I'm good enough, And what I think it was, I forget who was that mentioned Maslow's theory of management. I never knew it was of management, but I guess it's of life. You have to feel comfortable. You have to feel safe. You have to feel it's possible. You have to be able to say, I can do it slowly. And back to live streaming, there's so many snakes out there everywhere. All right. We are hit with all kinds of people that know social media. Oh, they know marketing. They know you name it. I mean, they know my cell phone number because just today I got a message saying that my Netflix account is done if I haven't paid for it. And guess what? I never took out Netflix. So, you know, it's out there all the time. And you have to, like, who are you going to trust? And what live streaming is doing right now is, please don't trust us. Don't trust a word I'm saying. Call me. Okay. And that's for each and every one of us. Don't trust. We're there. Okay. And everyone is there. Ask the questions. Be proactive. What do you need? It may not be whoever. Don't believe it. And I tell everybody, I mean, it's I have the answer. I have the shiny whatever object. It's all out there. But you have to disseminate it. And same, as a parent, you have to disseminate it for your children too, because they believe all this stuff too. And they will spend all kinds of money on all kinds of stuff. And I know for sure I've done it on cosmetics, and we've all have done it. You fall for the message. But, today, when you're doing something to change yourself, or you're going to be following somebody that you feel is going to help you with your life, ask. Don't just look at all the shiny glitz and all the papers they've written and all the degrees that they have and all that stuff. No. Each person has value, and your intuition says something too, and it matters. So if you feel that pain, find out who is the best person for you. It's out there. And, with your audience, Dawn, people are coming, people trust you. You've built it for years of shows and shows. And, I've been on, I think, maybe 4 months just as co-host, but I think it's almost a year that we've been talking. It's like crazy. Time flies so fast. And I advise everybody, if you're in pain, my goodness, time does fly fast. Move, change, do something. Okay.
Well, it's funny in a way. There was a story about elephants, and in the old days, when an elephant was born, they put a steel rope around his little hoof or whatever, and they put a stake in the ground. And like 2 years later, they would replace it with a rope and a wooden peg. But since the elephant, every time it tried to move, was restricted, just decided not to even try, because with the rope and the little peg, it was 1, 2, 3. And I think so many people have the key to their own cell that they put themselves in, and have found a way of getting through one day into another. But when people know that there's a better way, because there's a new way. Yeah, the old ways didn't work because the old ways weren't meant to include a lot of people. The old ways create a lot of control. But once people get liberated and they're freed to do who they are and what they are, and the other aspect is showing is better than telling, and seeing is believing. And ultimately, what you feel is what confirms what you think you know. And it's how you feel after you're with someone that makes that person have the value or not so much. And the other thing is when you steal away to an island in the sun with the 30, 40 people you know after a year, me and Kelly have been over 120 shows. Me and Harvey have been on 50, 60 shows. once you find the right group, you don't need a new group. And that's where people make the mistake. They finally get to where they want to be or they should be, and all of a sudden they get ambitious again, right? And as soon as they get there, they're off to the next thing, and they never settle. You know, people are in such a rush to get to somewhere that when they get there, they don't even do anything there. I mean, it's almost like some cruises, right? You spend so much time on the boat, you got 2 hours to go in and get lunch and come back to the boat. You know, I never could appreciate that. So, but you know, that's what makes people different, you know, and I think people need to applaud differences. You know, people judge people based on normal, average, fitting in, you know, and I've always, you know, walked to a different drummer. I always loved the road less traveled. Why? Because you create what you want instead of trying to fit in to what people don't want of you, you know? And I think, you know, people should applaud themselves for just surviving this long. You know, whatever you did got you to today, and whatever you did doesn't have to do anything for tomorrow. Some people just got to figure there were booster rockets. Got me up, but it's never going to take me where I want to go. And at a certain point, you think, I can handle it from here, you know? And if people like you and sincerely appreciate you, that brings meaning to your life. That brings validation. And then change can happen. You know, people want the one chunk, you know, or, you know, take the pill, take the shot, you'll get what you want, but you won't keep what you want. And who wants to chase their tail all their life? And authenticity is so refreshing because if people love you for exactly who you are, you never have to worry about those people. And now you can get on to bigger, better things. So Elle, we're coming up on 8 minutes to go. You know, people say an hour. I could never do an hour. We just get rolling after an hour.
Right.
So what do you think, Elle? What's your next thoughts on change, women's empowerment, live streaming, anything you can think of?
Well, I was thinking about the prison cell that you were talking about and how people, they keep themselves within that box and, you know, without ever trying to see if the door is actually locked. And, you know, I see that so much that people have limiting beliefs. I mean, everybody does, myself included. And to be able to overcome that and be like, wow, okay, it's an hour. That's a big block of time. What in the world am I going to say for an hour? How is that going to work out? But to be open, to be curious, to want to explore, to look at the, you know, the wonderful people on the chat that ask questions or they have comments. I mean, it's just being open to the experience, you know, opening up that prison door, opening up your jail cell and seeing what's out there, you know, just because you can see it from inside, it's so different on the other side, and just being open to that. And that's what I like about live streaming is it's different. Who knew? I mean, it's something, you know, that again, if you don't believe us, if you don't think that we're sincere or transparent, give us a call, reach out to us individually. That's the thing. We're all very approachable. So, but yeah, it's you're right. Though I was a little bit like, what in the world, an hour? I don't have an hour. But thinking that people are going to listen for an hour, but that I think it's fantastic because you're right. It's just, it takes a while to get into the flow and to get in the meat and potatoes of the conversation. And it's been, I mean, I can't believe we've already, you know, we're at almost 55 minutes here. And I didn't think it would go that fast. So it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, well, it sure has. And it goes fast for me and Beverley and everybody else too. And that's why the format is so easy. Plus it gives everybody a chance to say whatever they're going to say over that hour, where sometimes you wanted to say something, you forgot about it. Now you can catch up to it, or someone just said something to make what you wanted to say a little different now. And that's what brings the harmony together is people are leading off of each other. People are picking up on what someone says, and it's much easier to pick up on what someone just said than to imagine something really cool every time it's time to speak. And it also shows how you work with people around you. You know, some of the best guests were, I mean, I can't say enough for Ford, who was here Friday. Wonderful gentleman, first time. He was actually on Harvey's show first, and that's another thing. Kathleen Quinn Votaw was the one who shared Elle with us. Mm-hmm. And Ford came from Harvey. And here's a gentleman that gets 25,000 a speech. He's got 7 books out. He's the most amazing guy. And because he was paired with Cohen, who's part of our group, he went out of his way to promote Cohen's books, not talk about his books. And, and people see you helping others and they see, hey, that person would be like that with me. So you have a chance to demonstrate your goodwill or your, hey, I don't mind taking a back seat if this is special to this person. And it really shows confidence and coming from abundance versus scarcity. And, people have to slow down themselves after a while just to catch up, which is backwards for most people having to speed up to catch up and get into a comfort zone. So Leslie's here. Wouldn't be the same without Leslie.
Hey, Leslie.
Leslie has Mind Over Matter on Mondays, has Think and Grow Rich on Fridays, is everywhere, was just on Zoom party with Omar. And
let me add that Leslie promotes every single live show, every single one of them. And I want to thank you, Leslie. It takes a lot of work. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and she promotes all my 5 shows, so that's 5 days of shows. And that's why I'm promoting Leslie. I always share her shows on the air. And it's, helping people help each other who are helping you. People are saying sponsorships. Well, I'm sponsoring the people I'm working with by promoting them, by sharing them, and by, validating. Third-party validation goes so far. Here's what Leslie comes back with. You are welcome, my friend. See, what a goodwill ambassador for all. And, it's the little things over time that make the most difference. Dennis says, agree, scarcity is scary. There's so much in this world. There's so much beauty. There's so much wonderment. It's what you want to see is what you see and what you allow yourself to see and be. And, why not have either and? Why does it have to be either or what I have in a little bit of this? If you don't want to take the whole dive, put the toe in, and trust yourself to trust yourself by whatever you do, because you can always bring yesterday back tomorrow, right? I don't think you burn bridges by making a couple changes, and you get proud of yourself when you surprise yourself. So, final comments. Elle, I'll swing it back to you, and then we'll give it to Beverly to close out this wonderful show.
Well, thank you for letting me be a part of this. It's been awesome. I love being able to talk about change and live streams. It's very interesting. I'm learning so much, and that's the one thing that my great-grandmother immigrated to this country, and even though she didn't speak English, she always told my grandmother, every day you've got to learn something. Every day you can learn something no matter how old you are. And I love that. And it's part of my philosophy in life. So thank you for teaching me today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, because without you, it wouldn't have been as great a show as it turned out to be. And with that said, Beverly, this must be show number 51, 2, or 3.
I have no idea, Don.
Me neither.
It's like a reformed alcoholic. I don't remember anything. First of all, Elle, I want to say you did absolutely positively great. And I know it can be very scary when you come on the first time. It's like, what am I going to expect here? What's going to go on? Live streaming, you are live. Okay. It's like click a button. And then the worst thing always happens. Like you can't get into StreamYard. Like I couldn't get in today. Okay. And practically every second week. So it's always this tech stuff and what's going to happen. And then, what do I look like? And I'm so frazzled and blah, blah, blah. With live streaming or anything live, this is, you get what you get, And I think that you did really beautifully and you expressed yourself wonderfully. And I hope it wasn't scary for you. However, if it was, that's great, because we always stretch ourselves. This is my ending, my comment, my remark. When you're fearing that fear and you've done it, oh, wow, you feel awesome. And so you just grow, as you said, or as your grandmother said, like, yeah, you just grow. And sometimes you need that kick to grow, but that's how you change. And we have to get out of the box and change. So I welcome everyone. Call me, reach out to Dawn, reach out to Elle, reach out to Leslie, reach out to Harvey, everybody out there, Kelly, we're open. We want to talk to you.
Well, perfect. I couldn't add any more if I wanted to. And I always love starting on time and finishing on time too. So want to thank the audience. Tomorrow, come back in 23 hours and we'll have Jason Gerardo with David Snell. Really great gentlemen who are out there doing a lot of good things for the community and for their fellow veterans. So if you can't, then Thursday is another day with Harvey and Kelly, and Friday is going to be me and Con again. So with that, talk to you later. Bye for now.
Thank you.